a girl a-running in a group. She had a high-speed motor in a 44 coupe. She had a racing cam and a supercharged. Look at Buddy, hot rod at large. She's a hot rod. She's a hot rod.
Okay, the right to repair law. Dun, 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 started in Massachusetts. And all these guys, and I know this for a fact because I live with this every day. Information on the newer cars is just impossible to come by. It's just you're constantly begging people, and you're trying to get on the phone, and they want you to subscribe and pay big bucks for all this, and it's not right, because people should have a choice where they can fix their car, whether they want to fix it at the dealer, or they want to fix it at my shop or your shop or somebody else's shop to save a few bucks, or because it's convenient. Not everybody likes to go to the dealer and waste the whole day for an oil change. I mean, that's how they work. And I'm going to tell you, the right to repair law, the U.S. auto safety regulators said Tuesday that major automakers could comply with a Massachusetts vehicle data law that seeks to allow car owners to get repairs completed by independent shops. This is all we ask. We just want to repair them. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration told nearly 24 major automakers in June not to comply, saying it poses a significant safety concerns because it required open remote access to vehicle telematics and vehicle-generated data. The agency said Tuesday in a letter to the Massachusetts Attorney General's office that the agency believes automakers can comply by providing repair shops wireless access to a vehicle from within close physical proximity to the vehicle without providing long-range remote access. This is how you get hacked.
Right.
You go up in the cloud, right, Chuck?
Yeah, basically.
You go up in the cloud, and that's where they get you.
Now, we actually have kind of a follow-up story to this, which is really interesting, is that both Tesla and Rivian have endorsed the agreement as well. So yes, Tesla and Rivian are both going to be part of this, which was an interesting question about how the EV manufacturers were going to handle right to repair. So on the Rivian side, they say Rivian agrees that our customers should have access to safe and proper repairs throughout the vehicle's life cycle. Tesla says, in addition to supporting the customer's right to choose their preferred method of repairing their vehicle, Tesla also protects driver safety and security through industry-backed standards. So,
now, let's look at that a minute, because I read the same story. And let's look at that a second. Those are two car companies that don't have any dealerships.
Right. Well, not necessarily, because we talked about last week, like Tesla, for instance, is building that big new facility in Indianapolis.
They're starting to, yes.
So they are. There's a sales office in Chicago. I don't know if they do repairs there and things like that.
No, I don't. And Rivian, I don't think has a repair.
Rivian's the new guy in town, but I mean, as far as Tesla goes, they're pretty well established. So I mean, obviously, it's if you live somewhere where you're 3 hours from a repair facility, that's not ideal for you. Mm-hmm. And Tesla has this opportunity of, do we create a whole network, or do we just, find people like you and send them to school for a week, and there you go.
Well, Tesla and Rivian have jumped on the bandwagon, and I think that's great.
Right.
And I think the rest of them need to do it too. They always, I can get into computer reprogramming and stuff for Chryslers and stuff, but I got to pay $3,000 a year or $1,000 a month for some of them, and it's just all silly.
Right.
That customer, I have to overcharge my customer so that they could save money by going to the dealer, because they don't pay for that.
Right.
They don't pay for their subscription. It's not fair to the automotive aftermarket, and it's not fair to you, the consumer. You should not have to pay the huge bucks to get your car fixed when you got 100,000 miles on it. You're looking to trade it in. I want to get the brakes done. I want to get this done. And it's got an electrical problem that I can't fix because I can't get into the computer. I can't get into the software.
Well, and going back to the Tesla now.
And I have the equipment. I just can't get in.
When you look at Tesla, I mean, you look at a situation where there's maybe one facility in your state. You go to that facility, or maybe that facility's backed up for 3 months or 6 months because of recalls. And you say, well, what do we do? So, I mean, I think this definitely is the right direction to go in. And I think what this does is pressures everybody to be on board, because I'm not going to be that guy who, that's the kind of thing you're going to look at. You're not going to be the guy who buys the car that nobody can fix.
Oh, absolutely
you'll hear
not.
about that.
The world will know.
But this also...
You can't buy a car and have no place to take it.
This is also a good opportunity to remind people, this is why you should always get that car looked at when you're thinking about getting a car.
Or a used one especially, yes.
Or a used car. But that's the kind of thing that I'm sure you would tell somebody. They come in with a Saturn or something, and you go, well, here's the thing. I can't get you parts for this. Or, some random rare vehicle. It's like, well, you could buy it, but I'm not going to be able to fix it. I'm not going to be able to get you parts for it. So there's the kind of things that people need to know before they commit to a car. I'm not going to show up with a DeLorean and go, hey, George, you can get me parts for this, right? Help me fix this. Same kind of idea.
I just had another one that way. The dealers, I've got a couple stories coming up. The dealers got caught. There's a couple of them got caught. I got to read that story for you. But buying junk cars, buying from insurance companies, totaled cars like flooded
and taking the parts.
No, and rehabbing them.
See, now I thought that once that car got totaled, it was out of the system.
That's what everybody thinks. But they take that, they either get a rebuilt title for it, or they take it out west where you don't have to declare, and they get a clean title for it.
I think it was it Montana?
Montana?
Yeah.
Wyoming, you can get a title for your car, come back here to Illinois and sell it for big bucks.
Okay, so same question then. That's going to be in the Carfax if you pull one, right? It should be.
It should be.
Right.
That's if they, but other things have been hacked. Come on.
Well, okay, so that would be another question.
But they're not ashamed to sell a car that says rebuilt on the title.
Right.
I don't know how you get away with that. Would you buy a car that says rebuilt on the title?
Okay, so that goes back to, when you talk about truth in lending and all these sorts of, all the, the big numbers on the finance paperwork. Is that something they should be forced to disclose, and are they doing it?
Well, we've talked about this before. The financing and insurance. Oh my God, those guys need to get a gun and a mask.
Well, but I'm saying is that when you go to finance the car, or at some point in the process, that should be part of the truth in lending. Is, by the way, this is a salvage title. By the way, this is a rebuild. And I think in a lot of cases it might be difficult to get financing for a salvage title.
Yeah, I had one in not that long ago from a friend of mine that bought a car from that. They still had time to take it back. They got it from a dealer. Mm-hmm. It's a used car. It said certified rebuilt on the title. Certified rebuilt. We got it up in the air, and Ron and I had a good look at it. I said, I'd like to meet the guy that certified this. This is insane.
Right.
There was just loose bolts and control arms that were no good and ball joints that were no... Come on. If you're going to rebuild it and call it a certified rebuild, I wouldn't put my name on that. There's no way. I've been through this before. No way.
Well, and then the other question is, would that be something that maybe they got it at the auction and they just wanted to unload it? Maybe somebody saw a good deal on a car, they grabbed it, didn't realize
it had a rebuilt title and just got rid of it.
Right.
Well, you think so. You don't know, but you think so. And I got to tell you, they are taking advantage of this. We're going to talk some more about this because I know I got another story in here for this, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. I got to tell you, the NHTSA's newest proposed rule. Seatbelt warnings, like we don't have enough beeps, pops, and boops and ding-dongs going on in the car while we're riding. The NHTSA, the nation's top auto safety agency, proposed a rule Monday that would require automakers to equip vehicles with seatbelt warning systems for front and rear passenger seats in an effort to establish consistency and improved seatbelt use. I'm probably still not going to use it. NHTSA proposed rule would amend a federal regulation for occupant crash protection known as the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 208. Who cares? Which mandates visual and audible alerts to encourage seatbelt use for the driver's seat, but does not require a warning for other seating positions. I know, I hear that going off all the time I'm driving. For rear seats, the proposal would require automakers to add a visual warning once a vehicle is started that lasts at least 60 seconds and an audio-visual change of status warning that at least 30 seconds if the rear seatbelt is unbuckled while the vehicle is in operation. They want to lay out, man. They want you to buckle up. And if that's what if that's important, I guess safety is important.
Well, I just imagine that's one more thing that'll get recalled someday. It'll be the
those
rear chime, something gets recalled. But I mean, the other thing that's interesting is, I've run into this in a couple of cars. I think one of my wife's cars, where every time you threw groceries in the back seat, I think it was the BMW. Every time you threw groceries in the back seat, it would ding at you the whole way home. I literally remember I'm trying to think. I think it was the BMW. If you throw groceries in the back seat,
there's a person back there. Yeah,
it's dinging the whole way home. Whatever it was. And it's just, again, it's silly things like that where they don't take the average user into mind when they put in stuff like that.
And this, I found the story of the one I wanted to read for you, Chuck, about salvage titles and stuff. This is ugly. A North Carolina Nissan dealer, I'm not going to name, well, I might name names, we'll see. Employees are facing more than 400 criminal charges. So it's a big dealer, sells a lot of cars. A dozen current and former dealership employees at Nissan of Shelby face more than 400 criminal charges following a months-long investigation by the North Carolina Division of Motor Vehicles License and Theft Bureau. The key word there is Theft Bureau. The misdemeanor charges primarily involve rebuilt salvage vehicles that were offered for sale at the dealership and the documentation used to transfer their titles. Marty Holman, a spokesperson for the North Carolina Department of Transportation, told that story to Automotive News. The allegations include 137 charges of failure to deliver vehicle titles and 33 charges of failure to disclose vehicle damage. The alleged criminal behavior began in December, Holman said. It was immediately clear what penalties the people charged may face. It was not immediately clear what they're going to face, what kind of charges they're going to face. An investigation from television station WBTV in Charlotte, North Carolina, alleged that totaled and flooded used vehicles were found listed for sale on Nissan of Shelby's website. Holman said the investigation partly stemmed from the TV station's investigation. Only 4 of those charged are listed on the dealership website staff page. 4 members of the dealership's current accounting team were charged with failure to disclose damage and failure to deliver vehicle titles. The current and former employees face a range of charges from less than 10 to more than 100 each. They were buying these cars and selling these cars totaled and flooded and rebuilt, and they're just making money. You know how much money they made? Can you imagine how much money they made? You buy those scrap cars for next to nothing.
So that's the whole point, though, is you're getting them for basically scrap value.
Yeah.
So hundreds and then selling them for thousands.
Oh, thousands.
So is this something that they have a unique position because of being a dealer that they can get away with? Well, obviously they didn't get away with it. But
no, they didn't. The dealers, they got caught. That's now the guys that are. And we go back to my pet peeve: the guys that are selling cars along the side of the road, for sale. They're usually from another state, and they just go back to their state, and you can do about it. But that's when there's an influx of flooding or storms, damages. You will find a certain element of society flocks to those places and buys cars.
No, I've told you about when my neighborhood flooded. We had one car that got flooded. It was a Nissan, and some guys showed up and they said, "We're buying cars." They said, "Are you scrapping it?" He said, "Nope, we're shipping them to Mexico." I go, well, he told me after I signed, I probably wouldn't have sold it to him, but he said, yep, we're just going to clean them up and ship them to Mexico.
I don't know if you've ever been in a flooded car, but I have, and I tell you what, they stink.
Oh, no. Well, that's what he was saying. He said, we're going to rip out the carpet. We're going to,
well, they do a lot of stuff now.
But, yeah.
But there are guys that just run down there, buy the car, dry it out with a hairdryer, make it look pretty under the hood and wax it a little bit, and sell it for big dough. Yeah. Big dough. And it's just not right. It's not right for them to do that. It's not right for for that to happen. Oh well. Okay. We talk about batteries and stuff, and well, guess what? Electric batteries are going to be causing more problems than some people think. And this is just one example. Some operations at Ultium Cells LLC's battery plant in Warren, Ohio, remain paused after a chemical leak that is now under investigation by federal regulators. A chemical leak. Well, that's a chemical battery. The company confirmed Tuesday to Automotive News that immediate steps were taken to contain a cathode mixing slurry leak. Sounds like something you get at 7-Eleven. That occurred over the weekend at its Ohio production plant. That sounds like a Slurpee. The immediate surrounding area was cleared and area mixing operations have been halted while we assess and address the situation, Ultium spokesman Katie Burdett said in an emailed statement. Ultium, a joint venture between General Motors and South Korea's LG Energy Solution to produce battery cells for the automakers' electric vehicles, said its investigation into the cause of the spill is ongoing. There's no reports of anybody getting hurt. Okay, but I mean, and you wonder sometimes if this whole electric thing is like put up. Is it a forced thing? I mean, what's going on? I mean, these guys are spending all these billions of dollars into these cars and batteries, and now they're actually starting to say, well, maybe we should get some charging stations other than Tesla. He put up charging stations, but the rest of them, well, they plus you got to get a municipality that can stand it. I mean, you got to have an electrical grid. But is the government doing this? I got a question for you, Chuck, because they were trying to get hydrogen cars to be eligible for the tax rebate,
right?
The $7,000 or whatever. Here's a story on that. This is ugly. The Treasury Department had a year from the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act to release guidance on implementing the hydrogen production tax credit. Producers say they expect the delayed guidance in the fall. It's not coming, hence. The U.S. Department of Treasury missed its mid-August deadline to release guidance defining the type of hydrogen production eligible to receive a maximum tax credit under this Inflation Reduction Act. The department had a year from the passage of the legislation last August to decide how producers might benefit from a tax credit that provides a subsidy of up to $3 per kilogram. The incentive is meant to bolster the production of green hydrogen, which is made using electrolyzers and split water molecules. I did tell you the story about the preacher and me trying to make hydrogen in the studio one night. Oh, that wasn't good.